Gymnastics is a popular sport for both boys and girls, but can also be filled with injuries. It's important that we keep our kids safe, and our friends from Spectrum Health Sports have some great answers to your questions.
Well, when you take a look at gymnastics, one of the reasons on why it causes so many injuries is because gymnasts are in the gym for such a long period of time. And a lot of times you take a look at some of these young athletes and it's almost like a full-time job for them. They're going to school, they're going to the gym afterwards, and they're spending 20, 30 hours in gym a day, or excuse me, a week, and doing what they do with their performances and things like that. Versus if you compare this to some other sports, if you compare it to like basketball or football or soccer, you might be out there practicing a couple of hours a night versus gymnasts who are out there doing this 4 hours a night. There's a lot of high impact when you take a look at gymnastics as well too. If you're doing anything from floor routine to doing the dismounts off a bar or a beam or even the vault, there's a lot of pressure that's being put through a lot of the joints and a lot of high impact that's happening with those, which can then contribute to a lot of the injuries. Well, when they're just beginning, you want to make sure that you're going slow. You want to make sure that you're not going beyond what your capabilities and abilities are. And so that's where a lot of the coaches in the gyms will take a look at them and they'll put them in certain levels. And that's the nice thing about gymnastics is they'll separate them out and say, okay, you have these skills here, we're going to put you with this group. You've got these skills, we're going to put you with this group, so that you're not pushing them too much. Because if they go beyond what their abilities and capabilities are, well, that's going to make you prone for having injuries. But definitely starting off with some of these young gymnasts, it's very good. It's a very popular sport and it's very good for the body because it builds strength, it builds stability, it builds flexibility. So all the things that you're going to need to make you a successful athlete throughout life. And if you decide that gymnastics is not for you, it's definitely a good ground basis sport to help get you in and propel you at other sports as well too, because of the muscle strength building and flexibility that you obtain from gymnastics. So two big points is, number one, don't go beyond your abilities of what you can do. Number two, make sure that they're getting rest periods as well. That's probably one of the most important factors that I can stress, is making sure that they're getting rest, that they're not being pushed into, okay, we're going to do this day after day after day after day, because these kids are growing, these athletes are growing, and when you're putting stresses through some of the joints, some of the muscles, some of the growth plates into the bones, that can be detrimental to them. So making sure that they're having enough rest and don't push them too much. Don't say, all right, you're going to be in the gym 7 days a week and you're going to be in there 4 or 5 hours at a time. Give them a little bit to kind of take a step back and say, let my body recuperate from what I'm doing. That's one of the big things in regards to sports medicine is prevention. So something that we almost call prehabilitation, which means that you're rehabbing before an injury happens. Like I said, you take a look, a lot of these injuries and they're high impact injuries. So if you don't have the flexibility, that can cause an issue. If you don't have the muscle strength of your quad muscles, of your hamstrings, of your shoulder muscles, that can lend you into having issues. So a good warm-up is part of a good thing. Also having the coaches there and evaluate what they're doing from a standpoint of their activity, saying, well, you're leaning this way, you're doing this, this is going to be prone to being injured. So also having those coaches there working on some of those techniques, but also making sure that you're incorporating a lot of exercise, lower body, upper body exercise as part of that, because it's just not going out and saying, okay, I'm going to vault 10 times in a row, or I'm going to do my floor routine. You've got to build those skills, and the way to build those skills is through that flexibility, that strength, by doing some of those exercises before, and that's going to make you more of a successful athlete. And I've seen a lot of times where some athletes will come in and I'll take a look and they'll have weakness in certain areas. And I said, well, how are you doing? Well, I'm an okay athlete. Well, if we address those certain areas with strength and build that up to really make sure that the body's functioning properly, that can make them a better athlete. And they'll come back and say, wow, now I've got these muscles that are a little bit stronger. I've been able to do this and I was able to score a higher score. So that's also a major important factor as well too.